Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Let's briefly touch on Maria Sharapova. I understand that, she has shrewdly pointed out that she's been on this drug for the last 10 years. It's meldonium, right? And that she, of course, was not fully aware that the drug had recently been put on the banned list. Right? That's a good story. Understand you're not supposed to use meldonium for any 10-year period of time. Right? Understand too that other world-class athletes had been busted on meldonium before Maria Sharapova was busted. Right? Ekaterina Bobrovsky, a world-class ice dancer. Akiba Aragawi, a world champion 1500-meter runner, and Edward Vaganos, a Russian cyclist, were all busted using this drug. In fact, the Partnership for Clean Competition tested 8,300 samples, and 182 of them came back positive for meldonium. Just understand, the only people who didn't know about this drug were you and me, right? The fans. If you were a world-class athlete, you understood that this drug increases oxygen uptake and stamina, right? This drug is a performance enhancer. One of the reasons why an athlete would cop to having used it for 10 years is because now that the drug has been discovered and internationally recognized, in some cases, it's impossible. Too many people know that you've been using it a long period of time, right? I find it striking that she used it before the Australian Open, one of the biggest events in women's tennis, right? Almost, dear to the drug testing officials. Let's shift gears. Futures betting really is one of the best ways to bet because you're getting odds like a plus 700 right now on teams like the New England Patriots, right? Put in perspective, you would have to win an even money bet, right? Not a bet with a vig built in that's less than even money, but you would have to win an even money bet 7 times just to get to where you would be if you hit on a plus 700. Right? And in futures, you're getting quality teams. Well, let me say why you should fade the New England Patriots at the plus 750 they're being offered at. Plus 700, plus 750, depending on the shop. Understand Tom Brady's new deal, right? The one where he got a lot of bonus money and stuff like that, significantly reduces his salary for the first year of the deal. Right? Understand that's really a tacit admission that there's a possibility that Tom Brady might be suspended for 4 games this season, right? Because of Deflategate. Understand the league hasn't given up the witch hunt, right? Judicial proceedings are still going forward, right? Understand too that the focus isn't on air pressure and things like that. The focus is on procedure, the deference that should have been given to an arbitrator's decision, right? So you need to assume that you might only have Tom Brady for 12 regular season games this year. How confident are you, given those facts, given a league in which teams like the Pittsburgh Steelers have added a new tight end, Ladarius Green, a situation where teams like the Cincinnati Bengals have kept Adam Pac-Man Jones, who made the Pro Bowl? Understand you have some dangerous teams lurking out there in the AFC, a conference that the New England Patriots did not win last year with Tom Brady for the entire season. Right? Now you're going to tell me that you're going to lose Tom Brady for 4 games, possibly. And I'm just telling you, it's likely that Tom Brady is suspended and misses at least 2 games. Right? If I were Tom Brady, I would strike a deal right now, right, to reduce the suspension so that my team doesn't miss me for a full 4 games. So, if you're looking at the Patriots and you're thinking about that plus 750, my advice to you is not to do it. The conference is competitive enough where there are a lot of questions. Didn't the Jets beat you once last year? Right? It's going to be tough just winning the division, folks. There are teams on the rise in the AFC East. To me, the uncertainty with Tom Brady throws shade on the Patriots' chances. I think the plus 750 right now that you're getting aren't rich enough odds. Let's talk about a team that you really do want to think about. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Wasn't that them in the playoffs last year against the Denver Broncos? Didn't they have a lead in that fourth quarter? Right? Wasn't that with the Steelers being banged up? Right? Didn't have their running backs. Le'Veon Bell, not there. Didn't have their lead wide receiver, Antonio Brown, not there. And yet here was a Steeler team in the playoffs. They got by Cincinnati. They were winning in the fourth quarter against Denver in Denver. Well, understand, Ladarius Green is going to stretch the field. The Steelers have one of the most talented groups of wide receivers in the entire league. I don't think you can name 4 running backs better than Le'Veon Bell. Ben Roethlisberger has already won multiple Super Bowls in his career. Right? Understand, he's even lost a Super Bowl. He's been to the Super Bowl that many times. He's one of the elite quarterbacks in this game. Right? Look around the league. You're going to see a lot of teams, a lot of elite teams with new quarterbacks, including the Denver Broncos. Here in Pittsburgh, you have continuity and you have a lot of talent. Right? You're getting the Steelers right now at big odds. Right? For a team this talented, you're getting the Steelers at 10-1 odds. I believe that a team like this is undervalued right now in NFL futures. Let's talk about another undervalued team with a great quarterback. Is there a better quarterback in the National Football Conference than Aaron Rodgers? Right? I would say no. I think Rodgers is top shelf. Right? When I think about the toughest quarterbacks on a defense, Aaron Rodgers' name is on my very short list. The Green Bay Packers, according to some metrics, have the easiest schedule in the National Football League this season. That's right. You're going to give Aaron Rodgers the easiest schedule. And yet somehow, believe it or not, the Patriots, the Seahawks, the Panthers are all getting shorter odds than the Green Bay Packers. You're getting the Pack right now at 10-1 odds. 10-1. You don't think this team is going to be loaded for bear? You don't think this team isn't going to show up with a focus, knowing that they lost several games at home against divisional opponents? By the way, this team made the playoffs as it was. I'm just telling you that, they had an off year last year. They made the playoffs. They still have key weapons, right? Like Aaron Rodgers. You're going to get Jordy Nelson back. You made the playoffs without Jordy Nelson. Just think about the boost. Who knows? Maybe their running back might even lose some weight. I find the 10-1 odds on the Green Bay Packers to be compelling. Again, understand, to win this level of return, you would have to win an even money bet 10 times in a row. And here I'm getting arguably the best quarterback in the NFC at 10-1 odds. As I like to say, you could always hedge the play later. If Green Bay makes it to the conference finals, and let's say they're playing against the Arizona Cardinals, you know what? With 10-1 leverage on one side of the bet, I'm sure you don't have to be Einstein to find a way to bet on the other side so that you win money. You get a profit if either team wins the game. Right? Now let's talk about some other interesting teams. I'm one of those people who does believe in Brock Osweiler. I personally still believe that Denver made a mistake pulling him last year. Right? It worked out for Denver not because of Peyton Manning. I would argue it worked out for Denver because of a defense that stiffened against the Patriots in the AFC Championship game and then dominated against the Carolina Panthers in the Super Bowl. Right? But understand, Brock Osweiler is going to Houston. The last time I checked, J.J. Watt was still there. Right? Houston still had Hopkins at wide receiver. They were still loaded at several positions. Isn't Jadeveon Clowney still a Houston Texan? Understand, Houston made it to the playoffs last year. Right? They're a playoff caliber team. And now they're getting a monumental upgrade at quarterback. Understand, Osweiler is not just one of the better athletes at the position. Now, Osweiler can throw the ball deep. Right? He and Hopkins, in my opinion, are going to be one of the stories of this coming year. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning Houston is, believe it or not, this team that just made the playoffs is a 33-1 long shot to win the Super Bowl. When you're getting above 30-1 odds, understand you're able to cash that ticket if Houston's even in the playoff hunt late in the season. You don't even have to wait till the playoffs. Because with that kind of leverage on one play, then let's say if Houston's on the short list of making the playoffs and is competing with two other teams to get in, you can actually bet money on some of the other teams. Right? You can bet money on Houston's opponent because you have such a big endowment, 33-1 leverage on Houston. So let's say it's the last game of the season. Houston has to win the game to get into the playoffs. Right? I can bet 2 units on the other side. Right? So if the other team wins, I've made a profit. Right? I've covered my Houston part of the play, plus I've won an extra unit. Right? If Houston wins, they're in the playoffs, and now I'm looking at not 33-1 odds, but let's say 31-1 odds. Then I could take it from there. I think Houston, a team that made the playoffs in a division where some of the other teams are having problems and are rebuilding. Right? Look closely at the Indianapolis Colts. Andre Johnson, gone. Isn't there a lot of uncertainty right now with the Colts? Right? I think Houston at 33-1 odds is a gift from the casino. Let's talk about another team. Take a look at all the bodies that the New York Giants signed the first day of free agency. Right? This is a team with a quarterback who is a multiple Super Bowl winner. Right? This is a team in a division where there's a lot of flux. Right? Tony Romo has had multiple surgeries. He's coming back. There's some questions. Many people expect the Dallas Cowboys to pick a quarterback in this year's draft. Right? The Eagles have a new head coach, don't they? Right? The Eagles have a lot of turnover. Murray is no longer the running back. He's been traded, hasn't he? Right? Other guys have been put on the trading block or have left the team. Right? Look at the Washington Redskins. Kirk Cousins had a good year last year. How confident are you that Kirk Cousins, who I'll agree has some talent, but that Kirk Cousins is not going to have, so to speak, a sophomore slump? I know he's been on the team, for several years now, but this will be his second year as starter. Right? How do you know that the Redskins, a dysfunctional bunch as it is, aren't going to regress a little bit? In my opinion, the Giants, who played tough teams tough, right? When the New England Patriots were unbeaten, the Giants gave them all they could handle. Right? Go back and look at that Carolina Panther, New York Giant game from last year. Right? Understand, the Giants do have some continuity. The new head coach, Ben McAdoo, was one of the coaches on the team last year. Right? The Giants are still dealing with the same offensive philosophies. The Giants right now are going off at 40-1 odds. 40-1. You have got to be kidding me. A team with a two-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. Really, in my opinion, Eli Manning is still one of the better quarterbacks in this league. And you're going to give me 40-1 odds knowing that the Giants lost several games last year in the closing minutes of the game. In other words, they were competitive for 58 minutes. Unfortunately, football's a 60-minute game. But let's just say the Giants weren't too far away from beating some of the teams that they lost to. I'm intrigued by the Giants at 40-1. Right? They have a continuity. They have a quarterback. They're in a division where I believe they can make moves. Right? So that's how I see it. March 11th, my point to you is, don't wait for the NFL draft to lock in some of these values. You know the Steelers have Ben Roethlisberger. You know they have a lot of talent. Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, etc. Right? If the casino's going to offer you 10-1 odds, you need to say to yourself, I'm getting value. Right? You know the Giants, whoever they draft in the draft, have JPP coming back. Right? Have upgraded at several positions. Have an excellent front office. Right? Have a two-time winning quarterback. You don't have to know who they're picking in the draft to know that you're getting value at 40-1. Right? So just food for thought. Let me say this too. Houston Texans. I know people are going to say Brock Osweiler didn't start that many games in his career. Don't focus on his salary numbers. What I want you instead to do is to focus on the guys in Houston's front office who used to work for the Denver Broncos. They know who Brock Osweiler is. Right? These guys have links to Denver. They got the best quarterback available in this year's free agency draft. Free agency market. And let me just say, right, you're dealing with a team that made the playoffs last year. Right? A team that made the playoffs last year shouldn't be getting greater than 30-1 odds when they haven't lost anyone major. Right? So, take a look at the values on the board. I think Green Bay, Pittsburgh, I think the Giants, I think the Houston Texans, they should all leap out at you. I would fade the New England Patriots because of the uncertainty of whether or not you're going to have Tom Brady for 12 games, 14 games, or 16 games. That's how I see it. Let me hear from you. If you see other values on the board right now that you want to talk about, I hope you mention those values and the odds. in the comment section to this video. Thanks for stopping by.